How's it going? This is Fadl. Good to be here. Um, yeah, I'm one of Farzan's really good friends, and we got in touch recently, and then he asked me if I could do this webinar. So here I am, and it's sort of exciting and exhilarating to be here at the same time. Um, so a little bit of background about me, and I do want to go into my personal story, and I think that's relevant a bit later in the slides. But for now, I I worked at a foreign language institute for about 3 years. So I was an educator. I was teaching Arabic. Um, and then after that, stuff happened. I had to leave my job due to some circumstances. At the same time, some of my friends were getting into selling on Amazon, and I found the opportunity extremely lucrative. But I didn't have any capital myself, so I approached some people that I knew from before and asked them if they were willing to invest in me, and I showed them this opportunity that exists, and they immediately were extremely excited because I already had some rapport with them, and I had some credibility with them. So basically, that's how I got started in this business. So I started in March of this year. I'm a fairly new seller. Considering that there have been people selling for like four years now. Um, so I started in March as a complete newbie. I still am a noob for all practical purposes, but March is when I did my research. And by the time I launched my first product, it was June. Um, so I've been live on Amazon for about, I don't know, six months now, a little bit more than 6 months, I think. So yeah, that's my background. So with that, um, so now you might ask the question, okay, what is this? This guy's been barely selling more than, I've been only selling for 6 months. So what is my USP? What do I have to provide to you that you can benefit from? Um, well, I actually think that I have a sort of a unique perspective because of my situation. Um, so, most people who sell on Amazon are actually people who do it by themselves, or they partner with someone else like themselves, and they do it on a part-time basis. Uh, However, that's not my case at all. Remember I told you about my investors? My investors are actually extremely wealthy people. So they have a lot of money available, um, but they're also they're like 2 generations older than me, or 1 generation older than me. They're my father's generation, so they don't understand this whole world of online marketing as we do. And that's I'm sorry, that's you can you're probably there are some people who are extremely savvy and who are older, but in a general case, my dad or none of his friends are savvy in the online business world, and they don't understand how social marketing, how Amazon works, the power of Amazon, how extremely powerful online shopping is. They don't understand any of that. What they do understand is opportunities and opportunity costs. So when I explain to them that um, this whole world of shopping is moving towards the online space, they were extremely excited about it. But the problem is they don't understand what it takes to do this business. The one thing that they do understand, interestingly enough, is the one thing most private sellers neglect, and that's numbers, right? The only thing that my investors care about is how much money they're investing in and how much money they're getting out of it. And that's true for most investors, or any investor, as a matter of fact. So what that forces on me is I have to be extremely accountable. I have to, each and every penny I spend needs to be taken into account. And if I'm not getting an ROI on that, for example, $1 that I invest, then that's a big problem for me. Because for you can be like, hey, I'm earning like $4,000 a month. Spending an extra $100 is not a big deal, because I have like I put 500 towards my savings. Oh, it's just like a small portion of my savings. So you can have that attitude, or you can have that mentality. But for me, I'm not investing my money. I'm investing my investors' money. Even if I spend $10, you have to give them an account of why I'm spending that $10 and how that $10 is going to give me $100 in return. So I have to explain all of that to them all the time. So you see, now that forces me to be very, very conscious about what my profit is, what my revenue is, what my gross profit is, how much are we spending in goods, how much do I have in cost of goods, how much, what this opportunity is, and how much money I can get back. So that's sort of my perspective. Initially, I want to play on that. I want to go into one of the most important things, like I said, that's important for any Amazon seller. That is the understanding of money and cash flow. So with that, let's get into it. And I'll periodically check for questions. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll probably take a break after I explain a slide, and when we're moving on to the next topic, I'll look at the questions and we can answer that. So jumping right into it, now Farzan told me that all of you have like a basic understanding of how the Amazon business model works. So now let's just jump into a hypothetical scenario. Let's consider, let's say that you're a new seller, and you are interested in purchasing a iPhone 7 case, right? So you start researching a slim iPhone 7 wallet case. Let's say you spend about a week researching it. Usually it's a lot more, and you'll notice that all of these numbers are very, very like generous. Usually it takes a lot longer and it's much more expensive than this is. But let's say that you research, you work day and night for 7 days, and then you find this product, you find the iPhone 7 wallet case, and you're able to contact suppliers. You see that it's viable because now the market is going crazy about iPhones and people are constantly buying new iPhones. And so you decide that this is a good product. Let's say you go on Alibaba, or you hire a sourcing agent, or you find a local manufacturer. Let's just stick with Alibaba. You find a manufacturer on Alibaba and they give you a quote of $2.50 after shipping. Now that's a really good price. So, but they tell you that your minimum order quantity is 500 units and they take 20 days to produce it. This is what I mean by lead time. Let's say that lead time is only production time. So they take 20 days to manufacture 500 units. Now you have to consider, when you're talking about lead time, you also have to ask them about shipping, because when they ship it from China, it's going to take about a week or so if they're express shipping it to arrive to the Amazon warehouse. It might take a day or two for Amazon to process it. So you have to find out all of these details. Now, when you're satisfied with the supplier, then you're ready to order a sample. After you find out all the details from the supplier, you go ahead and you order a sample, and he says that a sample, including freight charges or shipping charges, is going to cost you about $40, $50, right? And for the sample to arrive, it's going to take about a week. Okay, now look at all of these numbers here. Like, count the number of days and count the amount of money, right? That's here. Now let's say that you order the sample and you're satisfied with it, and then now the first thing you have to do when your product is in production is you have to start researching, how can I get that competitive edge over my rivals, over my competitors, right? So you have to start getting photos. You have to like research which photos are the most appropriate for your product. You might incur other costs in design. You might decide to get a website, maybe a logo design that costs you, let's say, an additional $100. Now, with everything, the total cost for a very cheap product, and this is a very cheap product, and you're only ordering 500 units, right? The total cost for that comes out to about $1,500, right? And people oftentimes, and the reason I'm highlighting this is because people oftentimes, they'll get a quote for, let's say, $2 before shipping, and they're going to order 500 units. So they'll think that their cost is around $1,000 or so, when in reality it's almost 50% higher, right? Now, this is for a cheap product. Imagine if you had a more expensive product that costs like $4, then the difference would be a lot more significant, right? An expensive item like $4 or $5 is potentially could be higher shipping charges, right? So your shipping charges won't be like $250 or $300. It might be close to $1,000 or so. Another thing I wanted to highlight was, I have this in capitals. the total time before your product is live, the total time before your product goes live on Amazon, if we do the math, it's almost 41 days. And by the way, it's almost always much, much slower before. Like if you tell anyone, if you tell a seasoned Amazon seller that they, from research to market, you took only 40 days, that's absolutely insane. Usually it takes about 2 to 3 months, right? So this is a very generous estimate. I'm writing these numbers here because it can be done, and I'm giving you like a best case scenario. So even in your best case scenario, you're going to take about 40 to 50 days before you actually go live on Amazon. And remember, we haven't even talked about making your first sale yet. We haven't even talked about making your first organic sale, right? Now think about how long that's going to take. Now that Amazon has changed its TOS in terms of review policy and giveaways, it's going to take a lot longer to get your first organic sale. It might take a week or even 2 weeks before you get your first organic sale, right? Or in some cases, even much longer. So now you can see that from just this product, from research to launch, you're going to take a minimum of 45 days. And usually it's going to be around the 2 to 3 month mark. And that's a good time, right? Now, this is why the Amazon model is like extremely, I feel like it's different from other business models, because if you take something like, let's say you decide to do freelancing tomorrow and you want to get a gig for like 30, 40 bucks, right? All you have to do is market yourself and put yourself, apply for enough jobs until you get that one job. And the more time you spend applying for jobs, you can apply for, let's say, 50 jobs in 24 hours, or you can apply for 100 jobs in 24 hours, right? And the more jobs you apply for, the more lucky you're going to get, and you're going to hit that one customer who thinks you're actually worth it. But in Amazon, you can do everything right, but no matter how much time you spend, you are going to start seeing results only after 2 months. And that's very significant. And you have to like wrap your head around this, because this is the biggest flaw that I see new sellers falling into, is that they don't realize how time consuming this process is. And when they're doing this every day, they're putting in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours a day, every day for like 2 months straight. And they have seen zero results so far. They've not even made a sale so far, right? You can see how it affects their psyche negatively. So, the first week they put in their effort, they do their diligence, but then the next week they start getting slack because they don't see any results, and they know that they're not going to see any results for 2 months, right? Now, when the supplier tells them, hey, I need the design today, they take like 4 days to give them the artwork or the design to the supplier. When they know that they're supposed to get their photos done in this week, they postpone it to next week, because in their psyche, their mind plays games with them, because their mind tells them that, hey, this is really far off. They don't like actually believe in the system yet, right? That's why it's extremely important when you're starting this business to take action now. And if you listen to the Amazing Seller podcast, that's something I'll give you a link to at the end of the webinar. It's called the Amazing Seller podcast. I highly recommend listening to that. That's one of my primary learning materials. Everything has its pros and cons, but he has some good stuff on there. But one thing he always emphasizes is taking action. And you have to start doing right now, right? Because only if you start now, you will get results in about 3 months, 3 to 4 months. And it is really sad. And this is what I tell my students, right? I tell I don't have students. I'm sorry. This is what I tell my friends who are getting into this business, right? I tell them to pick a product, go through the entire system, right? Go through the entire system once. Do it fast. Make some small mistakes along the way. Everyone's going to mistakes. You're always going to do mistakes the first time. You're going to do mistakes the fifth time. So might as well do those mistakes fast and learn faster, right? But then still, I have friends. I actually have two of my friends who've been working on a product for almost 5 months now, and they haven't even their product hasn't even gone live. And this might be the case for some of you guys. You might be stuck in this analysis paralysis mentality. You might be like so confused about what to do, and you're putting in your effort, but you're not seeing any results. But guess what? It does take that long. That is the nature of this business. Now that you understand the whole time aspect of it, let's dive deeper into the monetary aspect of it. Now let's say that for the iPhone 7 case, your initial investment was about $1,500, right? And you got a 500 units for that. That makes the cost per unit, your CPU or cost per unit, should be about $3, right? And that's after shipping. Now let's say that you plan to sell this iPhone case on Amazon for $15, and that's a pretty good price for this product. Um, and Amazon takes about $5 for commission and fulfillment. Commission is the fees that Amazon takes because it provides the traffic, and fulfillment is basically shipping, right? So now for every sale that you make at $15, Amazon takes away $5 and it pays you $10. But keep in mind, this $10 is not your net profit; it's your gross profit, right? Or it's your net sales, one of those two things. I'm bad with those terms. But basically, you get, for every sale you make, you get $10. Amazon will pay you $10. Now your profit margin will be that amount that Amazon pays you minus whatever you bought the product for, which is $3, right? So your profit margin would be, in this case, it would be $7, right? Now, let's say you take about a week, and then you do your promotions right, and everything is working out for you, right? And you start making sales, right? And you're making 5 sales a day, right? And I've chosen this number for a reason, right? Because when we learn about this business model in different courses and we talk to different people, one thing they're all excited about is the amazing opportunity that exists in this whole world of Amazon, right? Because it's extremely hard to hit that one product that makes like 100 sales a day. But then what if you have like 20 products that make 5 sales a day? You see, but 20 times 5 is still going to be 100. You can still get there, right? And that's how I got into this as well. That's why I'm choosing this number of 5 sales a day. And for someone starting off, that's a very, very good number. Don't get me wrong, that's a very good number. And if you're doing more than, let's say you launch your product and you're doing like 20, 30, or even more, that's fantastic. It's not common at all. That's an extremely uncommon scenario. Now let's say that you're starting to make about 5 sales a day. And keep in mind that for every sale, Amazon pays you $10, right? And I'm focusing on what Amazon pays you because that's the money that's going to come into your bank account, right? So Amazon pays you every 2 weeks. So at the end of the pay cycle, which is 2 weeks, assuming that you've been selling 5 units a day on average for 14 days, 2 weeks, you will earn 14 times 5, correct? Times 10, which is the amount that Amazon pays you for every sale, which is about $700. In 2 weeks, you earn about $700, right? So which means in a month, you'll have about $1,400 to $1,500 in your bank account. And keep in mind, let's say that you only had an initial investment of $1,500. Now you almost earn back that $1,500 in a month, right? But then keep in mind that initially to start getting those sales, you took about a week, right? So now that $1,500 is going to come into your bank account only after, let's say, it's not going to be exactly 1 month because it's going to be about a month and 1 week or a month and 2 weeks. It's going to be about 1.5 months, right? Now, if you have been selling 5 units a day, you're out 150 units, right? So now you have about 350 units left, and you have $1,400 in your pocket. But wait a second, we didn't take into account giveaways, right? I mean, you have to do giveaways, and that's how you're going to be found on Amazon, right? Let's say you give away 50 units, and you can still do giveaways, by the way, even with the new review changes, you can still do giveaways. You only can't make it a condition that those people who you're giving your product away to, they don't have to leave a review. And if you make that clear to them, Amazon is actually completely fine with you doing giveaways. Let's say you do about 50 units. Again, these are generous numbers. Usually people give away more than 50 units, right? So let's say you give away 50 units. Now it's not 350 units that you have left. It's about 300 units, right? But wait, there's also PPC, right? So you're not left with 1,400 in your pocket. You're actually left with more like 1,100, right? Now let's say your sales in this time, after a month, they've slowly increased. You've optimized your listing. You're constantly working on it. You see what your competitors are doing. You know what your weak points are. Maybe you found another keyword to rank for, and your sales have increased to 7, right? Now you only have 40 days before you're going to run out of that inventory. Okay, and also keep in mind, and this is something I'll probably get into later, is when you go low in stock, your sales actually increase. I don't know why that happens, but I've seen this over and over again, and most Amazon sellers have seen this. When they are about to run out of stock, that's when their sales increase like crazy. When they're like below 100 or below 50, usually they're making like 10 a day, and they start making like 25 a day out of nowhere. So you have less than 40 days before you're going to run out of stock, right? Now that you have that $1,100 or so, right? Let's say you wait for another 2 weeks. Now you have about $2,000, right? Now, what are you going to do with that $2,000, right? You can't invest in a new product because your existing product is going to run out of stock. So the only option you have is to invest in more stock of this same product. You see? So now it's almost, let's say, 2.5 months since you went live, and it's almost 5 months since you started research, right? And you still have one product, right? And you're making about 7 sales a day, right? And if your profit margin is about $5, usually I've seen that sellers have a profit margin between $5 and $10. So your profit margin is between $35 and $50. Every day you're making a profit of $35 and $50, right? Let's say $50. So that means in a month you're making a profit of $1,500, right? And that seems like a sweet deal, right, for some of you. But the reason I explained all of this to you is that this is actually a bad business model. To have a daily profit of only $15 in Amazon is actually a bad thing in Amazon, because if your profits don't increase, then if your profits are not constantly increasing, then you're not going to win in this business model. And this is why, right? Now just consider the opposite scenario. Let's say that you launch a product, right? So actually, before we get in here, we bought 500 units, right? And we calculated that our profit margin is going to be about $7 for these 500 units. So let's average that out of 7 times 500. Let's say you have 7 times 500. That would be about $3,500, right? So you invest $1,500, and you're looking to get back about $3,500 in pure profit, right? So you would actually get back $5,000. You invest $1,500, and you would get back your capital, and you would get back $3,500 on top of that, right? But this $5,000 you're going to get back into your pocket after 4 months, right? Now consider the other scenario. What if instead of selling 5 units a day, what if you actually launched a product and you were able to sell 20 units a day? All right, just consider the scenario. So in a month, you're going to be sold out, right? You will have sold out about 500 to 600 units, depending on how much you order, right? So that $5,000 to $6,000 that you get after 4 months, right? If you make 5 sales a day, you will get that within 1 month, right? Now you're out of inventory. You don't have any products left, right? Which is a bad thing. But then you have in your pocket $5,000 to $6,000, right? So you were able to turn $1,500 to $6,000 within a month, right? And you might be thinking, okay, like, with no reviews, and with this new Amazon policy change, it's going to be much harder to rank. It's going to be much harder to get reviews. How are 20 people going to buy your product every single day, right? And we're going to get into that. But before I forget, here's a link for you guys to listen to. And I highly recommend this episode. It's an episode of a podcast. It's called theamazingseller.com, theamazingseller.com/291. If you go to that link, or just Google TAS 291, and Farzan will give you the link later, inshallah. So if you just Google TAS 291, in this episode, the host, he interviews a couple that have been doing this business for a while now, and they've not met success yet. But then what happened is they changed their strategies, and they launched a product after this whole review thing came about. um, by the way, I'm referring to review thing. If you guys don't know, Amazon recently they changed their review policy. Before, you were allowed to give away products at a discounted price, at a heavy discounted price, in exchange for reviews. You could actually do that legally, right? And the only condition was the person who was leaving the review, they would need to leave a disclaimer that said that, hey, I received this product at a discounted price, and all opinions here are my own. I'm not really forced to give this product a good rating, but I'm doing it because I think it is, or something. They had to write something like that. But now Amazon came down and said that that's not allowed anymore. If you give your product at a heavy discounted price, you cannot require that the buyer leaves a review. You can't do that. So now the problem with this whole thing is it delays your whole launching thing, right? Because one of the keys to a successful launch is to have enough reviews. That's how you're going to start making sales, or that's what people say. That's what is assumed, right? In this episode, what's extremely interesting is that this couple, they launch a product, and within 2 days they start making 30 sales a day. What's more interesting is that they don't do any giveaways, they don't do any PPC, and they have 0 reviews, right? So if you're asking how can you get reviews without doing giveaways now that the review policy doesn't exist, well, you still can do unverified reviews, and we'll get into that later, inshallah. But just picture this. This is a product that no PPC, no giveaways, and it has 0 reviews, and it's selling 30 units a day, right? And you might think that's the anomaly, but that's not true at all. Actually, this is something I've known for a while, because one of my good friends, when he launched his third product, not his first product, when he launched his third product, he listed it, and within a few hours of listing it, that day, he got 15 sales, right? And he continued getting 15 sales until he ran out of stock within 3 weeks, right? He bought 500, and within 3 weeks, he was out of stock, right? So this is completely possible, right? Now, before we talk about how we're going to do this and all of that, the strategy for getting into it, let's just imagine the scenario. Just like imagine you're in your ideal world and you're actually selling 20 units a day, right? Within 1 month, you will have your capital back, and you'll have all your profit in your bank, right? And now this gives you the leeway to launch 4 products, or you can launch one more expensive product. You can do whatever you want with that money, right? See, this is extremely significant, because this scenario, when you compare it to the previous scenario, it is a much better thing, because this helps you grow much faster. This will help you expand your business and scale your business at a much faster rate. Because instead of selling those 500 units in 4 months, you're selling out in 1 month, right? And that's more capital in your hand. Now, when you've been doing business for a while, or anyone in business, and this is true for all businesses, their biggest hindrance is capital. I have a friend from the UK. He's a really good friend. I got in touch with him recently. So he's selling about $300,000 every single month. He has about 2 dozen products, and he sells about 300,000 every single month. Okay, and he is still in a phase of rapid growth. He wants to rapidly scale his business, right? And when I ask him, what is it going to take from you to grow this from, he told me that his goal is to 10x his business. So from 300,000 a month, he wants to 10x it to 3 million a month, right? And he was telling me that the only thing that's stopping him is investment. The only thing that's stopping him is capital. If you give him $10,000, he is absolutely confident that he can turn that $10,000 into $100,000 in 6 months, right? So when I was actually really funny, because for me, I have the opposite scenario, right? So when I was selling, I wasn't doing that well. So I actually had access to all the capital in the world, because my investors were, really wealthy people. So I had capital, and my problem was I didn't have a system for making that 20 sales a day, or making that 30 sales a day or something like that. But he had the system, and his only hindrance was capital. Um, so and another friend I was with in the same trip, for just out of, if you're curious, I met these people when I traveled to China about 5 weeks ago. I was actually in China for about 2 weeks. I attended the Canton Fair this year. It was a very interesting experience, and I learned a lot. Um, so yeah, I met this person there, and I met another person, and this is not a fictional person. I actually met this person who lives in New York in the United States, and he's actually a good friend of mine and a good friend of a lot of my friends. Okay, and this person is, when I was with him, he was doing two and a half million every month in sales, right? He was doing 2.5 million every month in sales. And by the way, these are people who have been doing business for a while. So when they say 2.5 million, uh, you might think like, okay, yeah, sure, but what's the profit? That's what matters, right? And yeah, I was one of those guys, I confess. So I was like, what's the profit, right? So my friend from UK, his profit was about close to $100,000, $80 to $100,000 with 24 products. And this guy who's doing 2.5 million, his profit is in the in the high six figures. Um, so these are people who are doing really well. But even for them, because they want to scale their business so dramatically, and they are giving themselves a salary and everything, the biggest hindrance that they have is capital, right? Um, so, but if you are able to get that capital, right? If you are able to get that capital, then growing your business is insanely much easier, right? And the reason, what I mean by capital here, is that $6,000 that you have in your bank account. Now, when you start off with, you tell yourself, hey, you know what? I don't have a high paying job. All I can afford to spend is $2,000. That's all I can afford to spend, right? Now, you take that $2,000 and you convert it to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 within 1 month. Now, guess what you have to spend? You have that $6,000 or $7,000 to spend again, right? Now, it's only a matter of replicating it, right? Now you understand like how this is a much better scenario than the previous one, right? Okay. Now the question is, how do we find that product that makes 20 sales a day, right? And just to break it to you, when I started this business, I actually went in and I told myself, you know what? Choosing a product that makes 20 sales a day is going to be extremely hard because the Amazon market is flooded. Everyone and his cousin I know is doing Amazon right now. So what I'm going to focus on is volume, right? I'm going to focus on launching 15 products. Instead of launching 5 products, I'm going to launch 15 products and then try and hit that 200 units sold per day, or let's say $1,000 in revenue per day mark, right? Now, I'm going to go into the problems with that, but that is a really bad idea. If you're making less than 5 sales a day, one of the problems with that is that all of your numbers, right? All of your numbers, and by numbers I mean your conversion rate, your number of visitors, and all of that, that data is not workable, because when you're making like 1 or 2 sales a day, and you have, let's say, 100 visitors every day, right? And this was the case with me when I launched my products, like 4 or 5 months into launching my product. This was the case with me. I would have like around 100 visitors and I would make around 5 sales a day, right? But I would try to analyze the data. I would try to say, okay, you know what? Which day of the week am I selling the most? Okay. Which title is the best title? Which images are the best? Which description is the best, right? Because you need to optimize for all of this, right? But you can't get any of that data because the 5 people who are buying your product out of the 100 that visit it are actually buying out of impulse. They're actually just buying it because maybe they've been browsing for products for like, half an hour and they just want to buy it and they just thought your product will be nice. They're buying it. It's a fluke basically, right? And you'll find that if you're making less than 5 sales a day, especially nowadays, it's almost rare that you'll consistently be making 1 sale a day. Well, it's rare that you'll consistently be making even 3 sales a day. It's going to be like 0, 2, or 0, 4. Or it's going to be like 1 and 6, and it's going to be like it's going to vary, right? Um, but the problem is you can't analyze your data, right? And that's why making 5 sales is bad. Moreover, another thing is that if you're making such low sales, um, your search term ranking and your keyword ranking fluctuates like crazy. So one day you might see a BSR spike of like 5,000 in your BSR. You might be like at 50,000 BSR, you make 1 sale a day, and the next day you might make 5 sales a day, and then your BSR will go to like 20,000, almost a 30,000 difference, right? It's happened to me. But then see, that's not workable because your BSR is so high anyway. That's not data you can actually analyze. So what's more is if you don't actually increase your sales from like 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, that 5 sales a day, someone else is going to come in and overtake you, because over time you're facing, your competition is growing day by day, right? And this is true, right? When you start researching a product, you spend maybe a month researching a product. When you started, you listed your competitors, right? After a month, you go in and you see there are like 5 new people who launched within the last month, right? In some cases, it's like 20 new people who launched in the last month, right? So you see, you're in a battle against time. Basically, you have to take into account that this whole thing, it takes time, and with time you have to keep improving. And if you're not doing that, then that's going to be a problem. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Now let's talk about how can you find that product that sells 10 or 20 sales a day, right? So when I was in China and I had access to these people, I was actually in a desperate situation because I had my investors had spent a considerable amount of money, and we invested in about 3 products. And with 3 products, we were making collectively about 8 sales a day. Right? It's an extremely bad scenario. That was my situation before I actually went to China. Um, so I went there, and I have the Amazon app. I'm scrolling down, and it's like night in the USA, which means it's the end of my sales day, right? And I would scroll and I would scroll. It would be at 8, and it would still be at 8, and then it would be at 9, and then if it hit 10, I would be like, yes, 2 digits, right? With 3 products. My roommate, he would scroll, right, and he would have 223 units. He would scroll after 5 minutes and would be 230 units. He would scroll after 5 minutes and would be 235 units, and would just keep changing, right? And guess how many products he had? He had 10 products. He had 6 products more than me, right? So just keep in mind. So if you're selling about 250 units a day and you have 10 products, you're averaging 25 sales per product, right? Just keep an account. And this is not a, I swear to you, this is not a hypothetical scenario. This is not a roommate that I envisioned. Like, if you've seen that movie, A Beautiful Mind, it's a really good movie. But it's not a hypothetical roommate. This person, he actually lives in the same city that I do. He lives about 30 miles from me. He has 10 products, and he averages 25 sales a day per product, right? Now, with 3 products, I am making a total of 8 sales a day. You see? So obviously, I asked him, how do you choose products? How did you manage to sell like not 1, not 2, not 3, but 10 products that sell over 20 units a day, right? Um, I think out of the 10 products he has, 8 or 9 sell more than 25 a day, and he has 1 product that's not doing well. But still, he has 9 products that sell more than 25 units a day, right? So I asked him, and he was really helpful, and he helped me with the process and everything. But this is the most important thing that I learned from him, and this is extremely basic, right? This is extremely basic. This is something you must have heard on podcasts, and if you read up on blogs or like you listen to courses, this is something people talk about. All you need to do is to make a better product. To hit that 10 sales a day mark, all you need to do is to make a better product. That's the simplest thing. So my formula is find 10 people that sell more than 10 sales a day. Find 10 people, competitors on Amazon that have more than 10 sales every day, right? And then make a product that's better than all 10 of them, or offer a product that has more value than all of their products, right? That's like really vague. So let's actually go into an example, right? Um, so hey guys, before we actually go into the example, how's it going? Do you find this information useful? Do you have any questions? I'm going to go into a live product research in a minute, but just wanted to find out if you have any questions.
Go back to the other screen because this one's not sharing. So, okay, and then go back. So this is what they see, right?
Okay.
So that's right.
So we're on Amazon.com now. So I'll just show you. I talked about like finding a product that 10 people are selling, and each of these sellers are selling more than 10 a day. Just find 10 sellers for this product, right? And each of those sellers should be selling more than 10 a day. And all you have to do is make a product that's better than these 10 sellers, okay? So let's see, for example, color pencils, right? By the way, if you're actually planning to source color pencils, I would do some research on it, because shipping color pencils to the USA is actually quite complicated, because the US has something called the anti-dumping fee, which makes shipping stuff that's made of lead or wax, so candles or color pencils, all of these things, and other metals, I think, it makes it very complicated. So you find that a lot of sellers, they actually source locally, they don't source globally. And your supplier should tell you that, right? They will tell you that, for like, if you're ordering like 1,000 units, it'll actually cost you like an extra $3,000, $2,000 or something crazy like that. So just do some research. Just giving you a heads up, right? So let's say you want to sell color pencils, right? Now I go in on Amazon. This is what I see. So I see the first seller is selling it's selling up for 665. He's selling 50, right? His BSR, his rank, if you see this software is called DS Amazon Quick View, and you'll have the link to it later on. Your Farzan will give it to you later on. But 22 in toys and games basically means that he's selling. Honestly, right now, 22 in toys and games, I would not be surprised if he's selling like 400 to 500 units a day, because toys and games is one of the biggest categories, and the biggest categories like health and personal care, beauty, toys and games, sports and outdoor. There are like 5 big categories, right? All of these 5 categories, the top 50 people, the BSR of the top 50 people, if their BSR is lower than 50, usually it means that they're selling somewhere on a regular day. They're probably selling around 200 to 300 units, or sometimes even as high as 500. In Christmas time, they might be selling like consistently more than like 300, or like sometimes even they might peak at like 600, 700. And those are not just numbers I'm throwing there. Some of my friends are actually doing that. Like I had one friend who actually sold, he had a lightning deal on. He actually sold over 1,000 units of his product in one single day, right? But his BSR only jumped by 30, and he was still above 50 in BSR, right? Which tells you that the people who are like number 1, number 2, number 3, they're selling an insane amount of products, especially now, right? So you see, this person is number 22 in toys and games. He has a lot of reviews. He's selling at a very low price point, right? Now let's go further. Okay, number 3 in arts and crafts. He's also selling a lot. Again, selling more than 200 units a day. I know, because I'm in that space. Toys and games. Number 4 in office products. Number 5 in office products. Number 91 in office products. Let's scroll down, right? Let's keep scrolling down. Look at this person. He is on page 1. He has 696 reviews. His BSR is about 12,000. And during this time, during the Christmas time, he's still making more than 5 sales a day. Okay. Now let's move on. This person has a very low amount of reviews. We actually found a couple of people who have like very low amount of reviews. So there's this person, and there was another person who had, look at this person. He's selling really well. So he has 73 reviews, right? Now, what I want to do is actually I want to go to page 3. I want to analyze the products in page 3, right? So yeah, this is more like what we're looking at. So if you look at this person, his BSR in office products is about 2,000. And BSR is a rough estimate. I have a love-hate relationship with BSR. I'll explain why in the next slide. But BSR in most cases, sometimes it's accurate, but it gives you a general sense of how much they're selling, okay? So this person is selling more than 10 a day, right? This person is also selling more than 10 a day. He's selling more than 10 a day. He's selling more than 10 a day. So what you have to do is make a list of these sellers, right? Make a list of all of these sellers, take all their products, compare them side by side, see how their images are, see how their keywords are, see how their listing is, see how their pictures are, see their titles, analyze their price point. Now, you see, this person is offering a set of 30 for $15, right? If you were able to go in and you were able to offer a set of 70, not 30, but 70 for $15, but that's not the only thing. With that set of 70, you include a coloring book, right? Let's even say $20, right? That means overall, when a customer sees your product, they see more value, right? And that's like you're hitting the nail on the head at that point, right? When they see that your product has more value, they will choose you. Even in the first page, we saw those sellers who were selling more than 100 a day. So which means that all you have to do to sell more than 100 a day, and it's simple, and it really is simple, is that you have to make a listing that is better than them, and you're going to sell more than 100 a day. And the most important thing, and there are multiple things involved, right? The most important thing to sell that 100 units a day is that you're going to provide more value. That is the most important thing. When a customer clicks on your listing, he should see that, like, for the price point that you're charging, the value or the perceived value is much higher. If you figure out how you're going to do that, then you have winner. Then you can make 10, 20 sales a day, right? Now, keep in mind that when we went through this, I barely paid any attention to reviews, right? Now, I have 3 products. One of my products has about 300 reviews. Another one has about 200 5-star reviews. The 300 reviews is about 4.8 stars, 4.7 stars, I think. And the other one has like 4.9 or 5. It's a really good product. It has 200 5-star reviews. And I have another product that has 40 reviews, right? And this product is in a market where all my competitors have more than 500 reviews. But right now, of that single product, actually yesterday, with that 40 reviews, and it's not even like 5 stars, like 4.4 star or something. Yesterday alone, I sold 70 units of that product, right? And 2 days ago, I sold 65 units. So I'm averaging between 50 and 60 units every day for that product. So people used to think that reviews are a big deal, but I completely disagree with that. If you have a handful of reviews, if you have like 20 to 30 reviews, or if you have less than, you have around 30 reviews, that's more than enough to kickstart your sales. And over time, you will get more reviews, and that will help your sales. But to get started, you can definitely sell any product that's a good product for 20 units a day with 20 reviews. That is my conviction, right? So with that out of the question, all you have to do is provide a better listing with better images and better copywriting, right? And a better price point, or better value at a higher price point, to make that 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 sales a day, whatever you're aiming for, right? Okay. So again, I want to emphasize all of this is aimed at one thing, that it is all of this is aimed at one thing, right? It's that going in the route of volume, or aiming to sell 10 products, right, and aiming to hit 10 sales a day, that's actually, it's okay if it works for you, that's really good, right? But then in most cases, you will find, and it might be an unpleasant surprise, like I found out, that your initial investment is going to be extremely high. the time it takes for you to launch that 10 products is going to be extremely long, right? Remember the first example we went over, where after 4 months you barely have money to order your next inventory, right? Then how are you going to grow? How are you going to launch another product when you barely have enough money to launch your next inventory, right? And it's been 4 or 5 months yet, and you're still earning only $1,500, right? So, but imagine if you actually launched a product and it started making 10, 20, 30 sales a day, then the money will be coming in much faster, and you will be able to grow your business much better. Now, once you go in with this attitude of like just giving your market a better product, and you actually come up with a really good product idea, that product will be very easy to sell, right? Don't get me wrong, you still need your images, you still need your copywriting, you still need your listing to look amazing, you still need to provide value, right? But if you have a good product, if you have a product that people genuinely like and they would genuinely recommend, that is going to make your whole marketing process extremely easy. And as the saying goes, um, a good product will sell itself, and nothing exposes a bad product like good marketing. Just keep those two things in mind, okay? They're principles to live by. The first one is a good product will sell itself. The second one is nothing exposes a bad product like good marketing, right? And that's so true, because the first product I launched, even though I was making 5 to 6 sales per day on that, that was a really bad product compared to my market. I was having a conversion rate of 5% or even less on some days, which means out of every 100 people that visit my listing, only 5 would buy, right? Now, if you have a good product, even if 30 people visit your listing, you might have a conversion rate of 30%, which means 10 people buy it. You see? Which means that with this model, Amazon will see that, hey, only 30 people visited your listing, but 10 of them bought it. Which means if more people visited your listing, more people will buy it, right? And Amazon actually, you might think that Amazon is out there to actually fight with the sellers, but they actually care about the sellers, and they actually want you to sell more because that makes them more money. It's purely selfish, but they actually want you to sell more. So Amazon will do everything to promote your listing, to make sure that your listing is out there so that more people can visit it, so that more people can buy it, right? Okay. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's I know I didn't give you a step-by-step formula, but if you have these guidelines in mind, you will be able to find a product that sells more than 10 a day. And people do it all the time, right? Within my circle, I know 3-4 people who are doing that right now after the review changes. So why can't you be one of those 3 or 4, right? If 3 or 4 people within my friend circle are doing it, think about how many sellers in North America, think about how many sellers in the world are able to do that, right? Okay. So how much time do I have left?
You can have as much time as you want, but I thought you had to get somewhere at 10, right? Okay.
So we took a bit longer than I expected on that. So let's increase the pace by a little bit. So so the next thing I want to talk about, and this is a separate topic. It's relevant in some way, but I'm not going to go over a comprehensive course by subject thing, because that's going to take too long. So the next thing I want to talk about was you might be introduced to a lot of tools, and there are a lot of tools out there, but you have to keep in mind that all of these tools have flaws, right? So for example, you might be using merchant words for your keyword research, but then keep in mind that Amazon does not release its search term volume to anyone. That information is confidential to Amazon and no one else. Okay. Now that you know that, you should understand that relying 100% on a tool like Merchant Words or Keyword Inspector or any other keyword tool is not giving you the full picture, right? It's not the complete picture, because you might have, in some cases, Merchant Word will tell you that only 1,000 people are visiting this keyword. They're only searching for it. But in reality, it could be more like 4,000 or 5,000. And that's actually exactly what happened with me. So for one of my products that I launched, I actually did the wrong keyword research. I thought my product was so just to clarify, this was a product that I had no experience in. So I actually didn't know what it's called. So I actually thought it's called something else, but in reality it wasn't. So when I actually found the real keyword, I found out that Merchant Words said the monthly volume for that keyword is about 1,000, right? Which means 1,000 people every month are visiting it. But it was funny because that was the only keyword I was ranked for on Amazon. For none of the other keywords I was ranked for, and for that listing, I would get about 100 people every single day, or sometimes it would be like 150. So I would get between about 5,000 to 6,000 visitors, or like more like 4,000 to 6,000 visitors every single day, right? And Merchant Word said that this listing had less than 1,000 people visiting it. Okay. Um, Similarly, in let's say you have the Jungle Scout product estimator, right? Let's say you're using it to research your BSR, right? So if you look at this, so we can go to junglescout.com/estimator. And this is a really good tool for research. But I just want to point to the flaw that exists within this tool. And all tools are going to have flaws. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't use them. It's just that you should be aware of these things, right? So right now, I have one product in the beauty category. Um, so so I have one product in the beauty category, and my rank is about 5,000. Okay. Um, so this says that my total monthly sales are 546 per month, right? Which means that I'm selling about 15 units a day. Uh, More, yeah, so more like 15 to 20 units a day. That's what I'm selling, right? Interestingly enough, for this product, that's completely false, because for that one product, I'm averaging 60 sales a day, right? So um, oftentimes, like, you will see that these BSR estimates are not true. You will find that you will think that a product sells about 20, 30 units a day, but in reality, it sells much more or much less, right? If it's Christmas season, like it is right now, it's going to be a lot higher. If it's off season, or if it's a day where like people are not buying, then your sales could be much lower, right? Just keep that in mind. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about was keywords and the importance of keywords. So one thing that I've realized is that most products in Amazon, we're always taught to rank for like the top 5 keywords or the top 10 keywords, right? Um, but recently, I've been like really intrigued by a couple of products that I came across while I was doing research. So these products, um, they looked like a very, it looked like a decent product, right? Um, so this one product I was looking at, it was a decent product. It had um, a decent listing, decent pictures. You know, the interesting thing was that the price of the product was about $5 more than its competitors, right? And what's interesting is that I would do the keyword research, and I wouldn't find this product in like page one for any of the keywords that I used. My top 10 keywords, I had the list of top 10 keywords. And the interesting thing is that I wouldn't find this product on page one for any of those top 10 keywords. But here's the kicker, right? This product is selling currently about 50 to 70 units a day in a market where the ceiling or the top guys are selling about 50 to 70 a day, and he is actually one of the top guys, but he is nowhere to be found with my top 10 keywords, right? So I actually broke my head over this for the last week, and recently I stumbled upon a couple of keywords that he does rank for. He's the number one result for a couple of keywords, and these keywords, from my research, I didn't come across them at all. So I went to Merchant Words, and then I checked the sales volume, or the search term volume per month, and it literally said less than 100, right? Now, this person, he's ranking for these 2 keywords only, and he is outselling a lot of other people who are ranking for what I presumed were the top keywords. But in reality, these keywords have given him more than those other 10 keywords. You see? So for your product, you have to constantly be in the habit of adding keywords. The way the Amazon system works, let's say you're selling color pencils, right? And you actually rank for that term. So when you actually search for color pencils, your product will show up, right? But let's say you search for coloring pencils, right? Your product might not show up, right? It might not be in the 20 pages at all. Now you have to work on adding that. And the way you do that is you add that keyword to your listing, you add it to your backend, you do PPC on that keyword, and you will rank for that keyword, right? So what I'm asking you to do is continually replicate that process, reiterate, iterate, keep on iterating over that process. Constantly find new keywords that you can rank for. And the way you do that is you have to think out of the box, okay? Now, what are some other, let's take coloring pencils, right? It's fairly simple. Okay, you have color pencils, colored pencils, coloring pencils, right? Like these three are very obvious, right? You might do some more research and you might find that, okay, there's coloring pencil set, there's coloring pencil sets, then you can find that there are coloring pencil 24 count, coloring pencil 36 count, coloring pencil 72 count. You can say coloring pencil premium quality, and then you keep doing more research. You can see, you will find coloring pencils for kids, coloring pencils for toddlers, coloring pencils for young adults, coloring pencils for him, coloring pencils for her, coloring pencil gift set. You will keep on finding keywords. And the more keywords you rank for, the more keywords you're on page 1 for, the better your sales will be, right? And that is a matter of fact. That for one of my products. So, when I started this, I told you how I was doing about 8 sales a day. After 5 months of selling, um, one of the things that I realized from my friends who I met is I realized the importance of keywords, and I drastically underestimated keywords, right? So now I focused on making sure that I rank for a new keyword constantly. What I would do is I would choose one keyword and I would run PPC for that keyword, make sure that that keyword is in my listing, right? And keep my bid as extremely high, but I would do it only for 3 days. So within 3 days, I would rank not in page 1, but maybe page 2 or 3 for that keyword. And once I do that process, I would go on to the next keyword. By doing this process for about 5 keywords, my sales jumped literally from one of my products for 5 sales a day to 60 sales a day. And that's the product I was talking about. It literally jumped from 5 sales a day to 60 sales a day, right? Granted, this is Christmas season, right? But even in Christmas season, your sales are 2x. They're not 10x. Okay, so I still jumped from a regular regular sales volume of less than 5 sales a day to about 30 to 40 sales a day, right? So that's something I want you guys to wrap your head around. That keywords are extremely important. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic.
Can you maybe explain the basic process of how you do keyword research?
I did.
You already did?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Um, okay. So again, on the topic of how do you find that product that sells really well? So one of the things that I found that sellers don't take advantage of is Alibaba, right? I was speaking to my friend, and he literally contacted 5 suppliers, right? And he asked them for quotes for this product, right? If you go into Alibaba and you search for anything, you're going to find hundreds of suppliers, right? So now you have to understand that some of the suppliers on Alibaba, um, the suppliers on page 1 are not always the best suppliers. They're not always the people who have the best products. They're not always the people who have the best price. They're only on page 1 because they figure out how to rank on Alibaba. That's the only reason, right? Similar, just extremely similar to Amazon. You might have extremely awesome products that have amazing listings, but they don't know how to rank, right? So therefore, they'll be on page 10. Similarly, in Alibaba, you can find extremely good suppliers who have amazing prices, but they're not on page 1, right? And this was really highlighted to me when I went to China. I contacted about 30 suppliers for color pencils. I was actually looking to source color pencils. I'm not anymore because I found out this whole anti-dumping fee, but we can use it as a good example. Okay, so I was looking to source 72 count color pencils, and all the quotes I found were $6 per piece because it's 72, right? I go to China, and then I speak to a bunch of people. I speak to a lot of suppliers, and I get 3 suppliers. One of them quotes me $2 per color pencil. Another one quotes me about $2.50. Another one quotes me $1.10 for a 72 count set per set, not per pencil, per set, right? Now, if I can get a 72 count color pencil set for $1, maybe shipping will be $1. My landed cost, my cost per unit is $2, right? Everyone is selling 72 count at $20. But if my landed cost is only $2, I will get a $5 margin if I sell it at $10. I would probably get a $7, $8 margin if I sell it at $15. No one else can compete with me on price. You see, that's the importance of finding a good supplier who has a good quality product and has a very competitive price. Because if you have that room to wiggle with, then no one can compete with you on price. And this is true for one of my friends, and he's doing really well. All of his products are less than $3 after shipping. So just think about that. All of his products are less than $3 after shipping, right? And all of these products he's selling between $15 and $30. So imagine his profit margin, and this is something you must have learned if you're selling on Amazon, or Farzan must have taught you guys. But the higher the profit margin, the better, because that really gives you room to play around with. Now you can increase your PPC budget, and even if you're making fewer sales per day, your margin is really high, so your profits are still good, right? So my point is, do spend time looking for a good supplier. It's extremely important. Another thing that I would recommend is to find a sourcing agent. A good way to find sourcing agent is Googling it, or going to like freelance websites like Alibaba.com, freelancer.com, Fiverr. Sometimes you will find sourcing agents that actually, if they work for you, you pay them to find out products and to source products. They can get you really, really good deals, because for the people in China, they have access to the local factories, and they have access to actually a local database that's actually in Chinese. So for those of you who don't know, we see when we go to Alibaba.com, we actually see the English version of it, right? But a whole nother Alibaba.com exists for Chinese, right? It's actually called 1633.com. It's literally called 1633.com, 1633.com. And that entire website is only in English. Even if you turn on Google Translate, you will not be able to navigate it. Trust me, I tried. But that website is meant for Chinese, right? Their suppliers are in mainland China, and they supply only to Chinese. But if you have a sourcing agent, you have access to that entire market, right? Now, why is that important? Think about this. Imagine you're going to a trip to a foreign country where you don't speak the language. Let's say you want to hire a cab, right? Now, what is that cabbie gonna do? As soon as he sees you and you speak with your American accent, you're trying to speak Urdu or something, mujhe ye jana chahiye or something like that, he's gonna know that you're not from here. Where his price is gonna be? His prices are gonna be like double or triple what he charges the local guy. Isn't that true? That's exactly what's happening to you on Alibaba.com, right? These suppliers, they know that for you, $4 is not a big amount. It's a very small amount, right? But for them, the difference of like $2, $3, because the Chinese currency is like about $5, the conversion rate is about 5. For them, $2 or $3 means like almost 15 extra units of their currency that they're getting per item, right? So they know that that difference is not significant to you, so they will exploit you. So look hard for a supplier that gives you a very good product at a competitive price. But here's a caveat: never, ever, never, ever go for a bad product at a good price. That's not going to help you. Again, like you might have noticed this, but I'm extremely, I'm extremely against people going on with the attitude that, hey, I'm going to source a decent product or a bad product, but my marketing is going to be better, my images are going to be better. and you can outdo your competition. That just simply doesn't work. That sounds good in theory, and everyone likes to think that they're the best marketer on the world, but it's not going to happen. Uh, hey, there might be people who might be making it work. I mean, good for you, but in a general sense, that's just not going to work. Okay. So that was my rant on Alibaba. Now I just have a couple of slides left. With that, I'll close it, inshallah. Again, I'm not able to go through these on a subject by subject basis, but these are just topics that I have some experience with, that I've experienced and I've made mistakes on, and that's why I want to give you these tips so that you can learn from that. So the last couple of slides, it has nothing on it. One is, it says the trip to China, and the last slide is mindset. And really, I want to talk about what I went my trip to China. So again, like, I'm going to go into like a personal thing here. I'm just going to talk about like what I did personally and the mistakes I made and my mindset, and that has a lot to do with it. Again, I went in thinking that I can launch 10 products, right? And with each product, I'll sell 5 units a day with $5 profit margin. That's 10 times 5 times 5, which is about $250 a day in profit, right? Sounds awesome, right? 250 days in profit. Who wouldn't want it, right? But the problem is, you have to realize that if you're working with a limited capital, or if you have investors like me and they're not seeing results with, let's say they've invested $10,000, right? And you haven't shown them results yet. And you tell them, hey, no, I need like $20,000 more to show you results. They're not going to buy it. Because if you can't show them returns on $10,000, you cannot show them returns on even $100,000. That means you just don't know the system, right? Similarly, for someone, let's say you're not working with investors, think about how long and how much red, in terms of money, you're going to go into to launch those 10 products, right? It's going to take you a long time, right? So that whole business model of aiming to launch like 10 to 20 products a day and doing only 5 sales per day is actually bad. And I hope that I've drilled that into you. And this is really, really what I learned from China, because I was really in this bubble when I was here, that I thought 20 sales a day is a lot, and that was like an aim. That would be a dream come true for me. When one of my products made 10 sales a day, I told you I was extremely happy. But then I actually met other sellers, right? And there are other sellers, right, who are not active on Facebook groups. They're just doing their business. They don't have any time for Facebook groups. They don't have any time to launch like a new course or something. They don't have time to post their stats on Instagram or Facebook. They don't have time for that because they're working on their business, right? But these people are actually selling more than 30 units a day, some of them more than 100 units a day for one product, right? And there are people, and they don't have one or two products, but they have like 10, 20 products, right? And this is something that was like amazing to me. And and I'm really this was amazing, and like this was like eye-opening to me, because um I was at this event where everyone was talking about how it was extremely hard to hit 10 sales a day, right? And then I'm meeting with my friends here, and they're telling me that if they have a product that sells less than 20 sales a day, that's a failed product, right? So think about the change in mindset. Now they are going in with the attitude, with the goal of finding a product that sells 50 a day, not 20, not 10, right? So even if they fail, their failed products will sell more than 20 a day, because they aim to find a product that sells 50 or 100 a day. You see? But if you go in with the attitude and the mindset of aiming to find a product that sells only 10 units a day or only 5 units a day, right? Thinking that you'll catch up on volume, or you'll just launch more products, then your product might not even hit that 10 sales a day. You see? So that's the last thing I wanted to leave you with, is that mindset is extremely important for this business. Is that the way you have to think about it is that you want to launch your product, it needs to be a quality product that you're going to beat everyone else with. And the way you do that is with value. That's the only way we're going to do it. You provide more value, you provide better images, a better listing, and with God's will, you will make more than 20, 30, 50, 100 sales a day, right? And And that sounds like a lot of talk. And I'm not going to show any images or anything like that, but um, I told you that I wasn't doing really well. I took some of these concepts and I actually implemented it to my own thing in November. In November, within 1 week, um, my sales doubled. Um, within by the beginning of December, before the holiday sales, everything came in. My sales had almost 6-7x. And right now, I'm actually out of stock in one of my products. I have 3 products. I have 4 products total. I'm out of stock in 2 of my products because they sold out. With 2 products yesterday, my sales for the day was over $2,000, and my profit for yesterday alone was around $900 from 2 products. Okay, so and these are essentially the concepts that I applied to it, right? And I'm confident that these sales are actually going to carry me. And right now, with this mindset that I have, I'm looking for products that are going to sell more than 50 to 100 units a day, right? That's my target range, 50 to 100 units, right? So even if I fail, I know I'm going to at least hit 20 sales a day, right? So I want you guys to cultivate that mindset, and hopefully that works out for you. It really did work out for me, and right now I'm having it's a lot of fun when you constantly scroll your phone and you see that your sales are updating every minute, every 5-6 minutes. It's a lot of fun. But it just takes time to get there. You have to understand the system, and if you have perseverance and if you're diligent, you will get there. And the main thing is mindset, though. The main thing is attitude. Just keep that in mind, and you should be successful. Thank you. With that, I'll close. So guys, so with that, we're almost at the end of the webinar. We can close right now if you have, but if you just have any questions, just let me know. I don't mind personal questions either. I don't mind giving my information out. So yeah, you can contact me if you have any information. My name is, I'll just type it out for you. Yeah, my name is Fadl Hakim. And
1K?
you can reach me at
Yeah, I'll put all the information that Fadl's putting in right now in the chat, all you can see. But I will also put it under the video recording so that it'll be easier for those of you to just copy and paste it and reach out to him if you need to. I'm also going to add Fadl to the EEA Masters group. So that's the private Facebook group for students only. So I'll add him to that. So in addition to his Facebook and his email, I'll have him in that Facebook group so you can tag him in with any questions that you have. Just want to thank Fadl for an amazing webinar and coaching call. Everything he touched on was so essential and so crucial. And, you can tell that he's really speaking from his heart, from his own experiences, from his knowledge that he's gained with just, even just the few months of selling experience that he has. He's really learned more than most people do in years selling on Amazon. And he's responsible for that himself, because he took the steps. He went to China. He does so much research. He keeps up with all the podcasts and all the the knowledge that's out there. He keeps up to date with what's going on, and as you can see, he's been able to cultivate and use all of those things to get to the point where he's at now, where he's making, what is it, $2,000 in sales plus during the holidays, which is amazing. And I'm sure that will only increase as we get closer to Christmas and to New Year's. So if you guys have any questions right now, go ahead and type them into the chat box. He'd be happy to answer them. If there are no questions, then we're going to go ahead and close out the webinar in a couple of minutes. So this is a great chance for you. If you have any questions, anything that you want to ask about, when you have him live, it's a great opportunity for to ask. So okay, so someone said, what is PPC?
So what is PPC? That's the question. Sorry, I didn't explain that before. PPC is actually sponsored ads, Amazon sponsored ads. So you see this. Can you see the screen? If you see the screen, you see these ads on the side. these are sponsored ads that Amazon that Amazon lets you advertise on these spots. Usually you'll have one spot on the top, one spot a little bit below that, and a few spots on the side, and even the bottom you'll have like a sponsored ad. See, this is sponsored too, right? So that's just an advertising platform. What that enables you to do is that even though you're on page 4 or page 10, by spending some money on advertisements, you actually get to page 1. It shows, your products show up on page 1, which gives you like a huge advantage.
And I mean, there are different terminologies, I guess, that are used by sellers for Amazon sponsored ads. So he used the term PPC, which might have been a bit confusing. So PPC just stands for pay per click, which is just a synonymous term for Amazon sponsored ads. Any other questions, guys? Okay. We can do it here. Nobody will see. Click on buy now.
Yeah. So brother Anas asked a question. He said that some of his products are getting rejected on Amazon, and he gave us a link. I'm not going to reveal what the products are, but it looks like these products are in the beauty category or in the health and personal care category. So the reason why you're getting rejected is probably because you don't have approval to sell in those categories. It's actually not it's quite complicated actually to sell in those categories. The way you get approval is that you have to find your manufacturer, ask them to send you 3 separate invoices, right? So you need 3 separate invoices from your manufacturer, and then you have to submit that to Amazon and tell them that you want to get ungated in the beauty category, and they will do that for you. And the way you access Amazon is that you can just Google contact Seller Central or contact seller support, and that's the way you can get ungated in the beauty category. But that's probably the reason you're getting rejected, is because your products are in restricted categories in Amazon.
So there's to get unrestricted, there's just a 2-step process.
Yes.
So send 3 separate invoices to.
It's a 1-step process.
Just 1 step. Oh, so you're just sending those 3 invoices to Amazon Seller.
That's it. Support. Yeah, they just need 3 invoices that show that your products are from the beauty category. Sister Sana is asking a question: is it difficult to get ungated in beauty? It could be fairly difficult. Yeah, some people, like, what happens is I've heard of people getting accepted on their first try, and then I've heard other people who've tried for like 4 months continuously, week after week after week. They just wait to get with a second representative, and they keep constantly trying it, and then still they haven't gotten approved. But what you can do is actually try and contact them and speak with them directly and tell them that, hey, my manufacturer is legit. These are some products I really want to sell on Amazon. I'm not, trying to play gimmicks. I'm not trying to spam. I really want to. If you actually speak to them, you might get better results. And I'm saying that because that's recently what happened to someone I know. He actually was trying to get in the beauty category forever, and he actually had products in the beauty category, and he was unable to sell them. So what happened was he got really frustrated. He just took up the phone and contacted them, and he basically ranted with them and explained that he has like really good manufacturers, he has really good products that he can sell on Amazon. And the customer service representative, they actually heard him out, and after 5 minutes, she was like, "You're ungated in the beauty category." So that actually happened to them.
Someone just asked, is it possible to contact seller support over the phone? Yes, it is. There are many ways to call them or to email them. So again, here's the number. How do I call Amazon? Actually, that's for Amazon.com, maybe. I'm not sure, but for Amazon seller support, that's where you go right here. Contact seller support, right?
Yeah, and you just click on the link.
Yeah.
You just click on contact us, and they'll probably have a form or something like that, and then you can fill it out, and then
So I'm not going to go into it right now, but yeah, you basically can go here to the, to the contact us, and then once you actually get into the form and the whole kind of menu, there's a way to navigate to the section where you can call them. So. Cool. Yeah. So Anna said that the manufacturer is in my city, 22-year-old product, proven results. Hopefully, if you get on the phone with them and explain that, then hopefully you have the same situation as Fado's friend here who got ungated in 5 minutes. So good luck with that.
right. So another thing for that, Brother Anas, is I'm not recommending this. I'm just giving you information. There are category ungating services. If you just Google Amazon category ungating, there will be services that pop up. But I personally, I don't know how they work. They claim that they can get you ungated within a week, but I assume that they're not doing it like the proper way. So I tend to stay away from them. But I'm just letting you know.
Okay. So he's not liable.
Right.
Neither of us is liable if you do that and something goes wrong. Just want to put that disclaimer in there. But
I don't know how they work. So
Yeah.
you can do some research into that. I'm really not interested in going through them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Obviously, try your own way by calling them and emailing them and trying to do that again. Hopefully it works. If not, then that's maybe another option for you if push comes to shove. So okay, I think we're good. Thank you guys for attending live. This recording will be put up within 24 hours in the EEA members area. And, like Fado said, he gave you some of his contact info. I'll add him to the group and you can reach out to him that way if you have any questions or concerns. But overall, again, Fado, I want to just thank you. Honestly, I even learned a lot from that, session. Hopefully it was a great coaching call for you guys. And we'll be sending out an email soon with the schedule for the next course session or coaching call, which will be in the next few days. So look out for that. Other than that, again, thank you so much for taking the time out to attend live today. Hopefully it was beneficial, invaluable, and we look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.